Well, it's great following Yasser, who's a good friend. We've been working with Project Noah for quite a few years. In fact, Project Noah has inspired me, as have many other people in my life. And I think it's important, Yasser, to note where you came from. Scientist, artist, I would say marketer. My life has been similar. I think many people in the audience really reacted to the art presentation preceding because it's what we are. And I found as a scientist that I was forced into boxes. I couldn't use I. Everything had to be very detailed, careful. Emotion was not part of the equation. In fact, we're trained as scientists to not be good communicators. And we could talk about that for quite a while, but this notion and aversion to citizen science, I think, is because science has with it those negative characteristics. In fact, science does have heart. Scientists do. Discovery is absolutely phenomenal. Being out in nature is what made me sing, and that's why I stopped being the conventional scientist and started being the communicating scientist, and why at National Geographic we're pushing everybody in that direction as much as we can. So this talk about citizen science, Yasser, that you raise, is central to this effort, and I want to twist it a bit, because with you and with others, we're trying to awaken the next generation of scientists. Taxonomy is dying. People who know deeply about what these animals and plants and beings are disappearing, and the next generation is not coming. And the generation that should come should not be the one who stays in a lab and gets the specimens and writes the papers. It should be one where you're learning and discovering what that unusual larva was, and then screaming about it to the whole world and saying, this was so cool that I found this. I had been a frustrated parent. My 8-year-old and I were doing a science project in my backyard, and we had a light trap and we were capturing these bugs. It took me a full 2 days with a very patient 8-year-old to identify, even close to species, these 8 bugs, and there was no resource. And I realized at that time I was working with the Park Service, and we decided to do this BioBlitz series where we were going to go to urban areas and awaken many of the kids and families who didn't touch nature, get them into a park, count all the species with 150 of the leading scientists, taxonomists in the community. And that idea 8 years ago has blossomed, and fortunately, as you see on the screen here, for our 125th anniversary, we took the good work of Yasser and many others and decided to do a global experiment, a global BioBlitz. And my friends at the Society, and we had a dozen people as team leaders, didn't want to call it a BioBlitz. They wanted to try to make it intelligible, exciting, to have everyone want to play. And so instead of doing citizen science, it was going to be a low bar entry with loading up photographs, but bringing in our partners like Yasser and others to allow for those to actually input good observations, identifications, georeference, the whole works where they can. So this is the experiment I'm going to tell you a little bit about today. It just ended, and I was really grateful to Vance and to Julie for inviting me to talk to you, because it's new news. It's going to be coming out in the next few days that we actually hit our Guinness World Record. And let me show you a bit of how we went about this and hold it up as a model for collaboration. You all may know we reach Geographic 400 million people a month. We have this huge umbrella. I changed being a... We'll let this play.
You'll find incredible nature. All you have to do is go outside. National Geographic invites you to celebrate nature. Join the Great Nature Project. Snap a photo of a plant or animal in your world. Upload it to your favorite photo sharing sites using the hashtag #GreatNature. See it? Snap it. Upload it. Join National Geographic's Great Nature Project today.
So 400 million people a month, TV magazines in 39 languages. We could promote this around the world and get everyone to work with their own social networks, their own Twitter account, their Facebook, their Instagram, Project Noah, our own program, Your Shot, and load up these photographs and try to hit the record with us. the cool thing about this is, besides the social, which is major for everyone, we did have the iNaturalist and Project Noah collaboration so that people, as I said before, could actually set forward these identifiable critters, plants, to the community, and Yasser showed some great examples. I myself have had many mysteries solved in a matter of hours by Project Noah. It's absolutely delightful. You know, it's not a matter of you either have your computer in home or you go out into nature. You can take the technology into nature now, and it can demystify in a way that my son and I could never do. The world is now our oyster, and that identity is the access to a world of discovery. So, you know, hats off to the folks who are working in this frontier and collaborating with us. The Project Noah, as you might have imagined, given the lovely presentation, actually came out on top in terms of the participation by platform, but we were also very well assisted by Instagram and even Twitter. The Twitter, it turns out, because of retweeting, allowed for us to hook into our explorers and photographers. Now, you may not know we give away on the order of 400 grants a year to explorers around the world. We've been doing it for a century, 11,000 grants. That whole community of explorers, in addition to our photographers, are out there, and they have communities of their own, and they're ready to work with us. So we were able to leverage the connections of Geographic in that community to increase the tweeting. We also had the help of our champions. There were 400 different institutions, you might be part of one, that we reached out to in the 4 or 5 months prior to ask them if they wanted to use their networks to promote this initiative. Many agreed. We had some e-butterfly assistance. Archive was a tremendous champion for us. This is their hotspot, and if you ever need help with your photographic and conservation storytelling, Archive is a place to go. Google Maps, of course, huge audience, helped us promote. We also had some unusual friends, singers, artists. We had almost 7 million Twitter impressions from Jewel and her friends. I don't know Jewel, I'm afraid. So that shows you maybe my age, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people follow her, and that is a strategy that we all can use to great benefit. We even had the First Lady tweet with her dog, Bo, and a lot of coverage on the web, of course, MSN, and the reach was truly international. There are only a couple countries that we didn't hit with this campaign. Spain, you might note, was number 6, so not too bad in terms of participation. What's cool about this connection that we're creating is that it feeds into science. Encyclopedia of Life was a partner, and GBIF as well, so everything that goes into, say, iNaturalist, if it's good science, it can be gleaned and placed into our whole architecture of how many species are on the planet, what do they look like, and from that you can actually identify invasives, you can identify new species as was suggested. So these partnerships and this large community, I think, can really make a huge, huge difference in engaging the public to become observers, to get out, in our words, to become an explorer and to see nature and its livelihood that can even extend into schoolyards and to urban environments as we attempt to rewild, as we're talking about so much at this conference. So this connection to our partners like Encyclopedia of Life was absolutely critical. And the identifying capability for those who are curious and want to know what they saw and can load it up. Obviously, we've showed with Project Noah, this with iNaturalist, that the whole dialogue can become really, really rich, not just for the observer, the person who uploaded the photograph, but for the people who are observing over their shoulders. So this is an exploration like no other. You know, the terabyte planet, you can only imagine the amount of data that's going to be coming in this vein. And I'll have to give a plug for our 3 o'clock on the 8th workshop. Yasser and I, Scott Laurie from iNaturalist, and a woman named Dania Suid, who's a member of the Happy Moths citizen sort team, are going to be talking about the future of great nature. The Happy Moths citizen sort is a game environment where observers can be taught and pre-sort all the photographs. And what can happen, if you're a moth specialist, you don't want to look at every moth, obviously, and they're I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, but if somebody has actually done some of the initial taxonomic work, then you can get that petabyte down to something that's a little bit more manageable. So the game environment is hot now, getting people to play, not just to load up photos and observations, but to play and be a part of our natural engine is something that we're really, really excited about. If you want to learn about what's becoming a topic of conversation, citizen science, efforts at National Geographic, our education program is rich with instructions on how to do bioblitzes, how to do geography lessons about biodiversity. And in fact, the fellow who runs this whole effort, Danny Edelson, is the chief manager of this Great Nature Project. It's a great team effort, and I'm really grateful to count so many of the people who have come to this conference as partners already in this enterprise. The total number, actually, for animal image uploads was 102,000. It was over a very short period of time, and that beat our Guinness World Record ambition of 100,000. If you look at the 189, it's actually 193,000 in terms of nature photographs. So we actually got a lot of people to upload. Much of the social referrals came in through Facebook. We have yet to get an engine directly connecting us to Facebook, so we're still working on that. But this whole effort, I think, is an example of how we can cooperate. Those of you in the conversation community who try to get everybody at the table to do big think projects, you're going to find, and I have and many of us have, that it can be difficult because everybody has their own objectives. You know, they're trying to make it a win for them, and they don't want somebody else to be taking the glory or the donors or whatever. In this case, we were able to pull in champions, and we actually gave them their opportunity to skim the site the way that they wanted to and to collect their data as they wish. So you can create your own URL under the site, which allows for everybody to rise in this effort where we can give a clarion call and partners can attach as they wish. The other thing that we do is we engage new dialogues. Google was good as a partner to provide a Google Hangout. Some of you may have participated in these things. It's virtual exploration. In this case, we had a colleague of mine, Catherine Workman, meet with several of our explorers to talk about their view of biodiversity. So these Google Hangouts are a new direction that you can use to champion large audiences. And finally, as I alluded, it can be an attractor for funding to have a large umbrella effort where everybody collaborates. I have to note the Abu Dhabi Global Environmental Data Initiative is supporting our reduction of the data from this effort to look to the next generation Great Nature Project. So we have already received investments to make sure that we're learning from this and we can build to an even better event in the next year, year and a half to come. The key thing for me, and I'll close with just a comment, is that it's not about looking at virtual anything. And so this whole idea of getting people to actually move into an environment, it can be their own backyard, and think about things in a way that can actually touch their souls is what's critical for all of us. And I think the presentations today I spoke to the great challenge of making people take that first look and doing it with confidence, with the support that they can actually be feeling enriched in the process. Having these virtual partners, having these networks, having a bunch of champions focusing people to just take that step, and then providing the next 2 or 3 steps wherever they started from is what we really need to do to build this global community and to inspire people to care about the planet. Thank you.